It's 2026. You and I both know that Joe Rogan has a state propaganda show. But for those who aren't convinced yet, listen to today's episode.
Country, the concern with Judaism is the support of the Israeli military.
Right.
That's the concern. The concern is the amount of influence that it has on the United States government.
Several ways to tackle this. Say the Iran war. Take Israel out of it. Do you think there are multiple countries that would share in the recognition that probably an Iranian regime that has an eschatology that basically says the end of times requires that there is sort of death to everybody before the final, imam comes back? Would it be a good idea for the Brits or the Romanians or the French or some of the other the Gulf countries, would they be happy if Iran had a nuclear weapon? So to frame the issue of the U.S. is attacking or is involved in the attack on the Iranians as, the United States doesn't have personal agency. They're all wood crickets that are being puppeteered by this incredibly powerful lobby called Israel. That simply doesn't pass the smell test. Of course, Israel has shared interests with the United States, as most allies would, where they both agree that probably an Iranian regime that has nuclear weapons would not be a good thing for world peace. And so because these two countries have maybe greater testicular fortitude than the NATO countries, it seems as though the Israelis are puppeteering the Americans. But do you really think that Donald Trump is sitting and saying, had I not been such a weak guy with no personal agency, I wouldn't have fallen sway to the incredibly influential Zionist lobby?
So that's Saad, or Saad, I don't know how to say his freaking name, who's a Lebanese-Canadian psychologist, professor, word salad connoisseur. Sorry, but in making this video, I wanted to pierce an integral part of my body. I don't know what. This man says absolutely nothing in 3 minutes of freaking word salad. It's so infuriating, man. This guy's like freaking Russell Brand's stepdad or whatever the hell. Anyways, as you can tell, he went to bat for Israel. Before I continue, we want to separate Zionism from Judaism, two totally separate entities, as we all know, right? Right? But yeah, this man farted out that statement on Joe Rogan with a little bit pushback from Joe. We're going to get to that in a bit. But he's the same guy who advocates for Zionist positions, built relationships with Israeli media and audiences, posting on Israeli media frequently, like you'll see his work being posted or published all over Israeli media, and even has allegations that he's a Mossad agent. As a matter of fact, former UFC title contender Jake Shields said this about Joe Rogan and God Saad, or what the hell, God Mossad. There we go. He said, and I quote, God Mossad has been on the Joe Rogan Experience 10 times and regularly interacts with Elon Musk. He's a proud self-admitted Mossad agent. The entire purpose of Mossad is to infiltrate, lie, and deceive, destroy, and murder. Be aware who is controlling your information. Take that with what you will. But anyways, back to the subject at hand, Joe Rogan, the state propaganda show, platforming people with Zionist talking points. And honestly, he did give pushback here and there. Here and there. In my opinion, I think Joe wants to come across as neutral, especially in the Iran war subject. I mean, he's well aware that the Iran war is the most historically opposed war in U.S. history. He doesn't want to torpedo his own fan base, but I mean, if you look at the comment section, which I'm going to show you later on, I mean, it's just evident. Like, this guy right here is just, he's just a freaking tool, a useful idiot. Joe Rogan doesn't choose his own guests. The state does. He's a freaking tool. So anyways, we're going to talk about Joe Rogan and God Mossad. I don't know. God Saad, whatever the hell. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Here's the next clip.
So many of the Americans that are anti this war are very, very staunchly steeped in sort of a libertarian / deontological isolationist perspective. Now, in many cases, I would completely agree with that position in that it's not the Americans' position to have to go and be the policeman of everywhere in the world. But let's contrast it, say, with when World War II was about to happen, the appeasement strategy of Chamberlain, right? This guy with the little mustache says, "Don't worry about it. I absolutely have no design to do anything bad. You swear, Adolf, it's all good? Yeah, don't worry. Promise, you really don't. Even though you're moving all of your stuff, you're a good guy, right? I can trust you. Yeah, of course you can." So appeasement only works if the other person is someone that can be fully trustworthy. It is almost incontestable that if the Iranian regime in its current form could ever cause great damage to everybody, not only Israel, right? I mean, the Gulf countries are not exactly putting up barriers against this war because they also are the enemies of the Iranians. So it's undoubtable that, of course, the Americans have the Israelis in their ear pushing for their self-interest. But that's also called the reality of every nation on earth. Every entity fights for its own interests. But that doesn't mean that the Americans are so lacking in personal agency, are so gullible, are so easy to puppeteer that there must be this Zionist lobby that otherwise is pushing us into an unnecessary war. Do you not want these 90 million people called Iranians who have a deeply rich historical, heritage to flourish? I've had many graduate students who are Iranians in my classes and so on. They're some of the most modern, secular, outward-looking Westerners that have been choked for 47 years by a really nasty regime. So maybe we could celebrate that if all this goes well, 90 million people are going to be freed.
I loathe word salad experts, man. It's just like you're wasting my time. I had to trim the fat there. And there's still a lot of fat left in that clip, man. This guy was just saying pure nothing. He knows that he has no freaking advantage points here. I would rather listen to freaking Stephen Miller sing in a shower. Yeah, actually, I think I would. Like, I can't stand word salad abusers, man. That's what it is. They're abusers. Enough. Just get to your freaking point. Anyways, within that whole monstrosity of a Caesar salad, he pretty much stated the Iranians would celebrate U.S. imperialism. And I'm just like, wait, didn't we just kill 170 innocent little girls in Iran? Like, what are we talking about? Like, is that how they're going to celebrate being freed? By allowing their innocent little girls being murdered out there by us? Anyways, the comment section didn't disappoint. Joe Rogan's own fan base was turning on him here. They stated, "You think Joe wouldn't need an extra $7,000? If you know, you know." Another one said, "It's dishonest to have a literal Mossad agent to discuss this." Another one says, "Good thing this guy isn't biased or anything." Last one says, "God is the right guy to talk to. LMAO. Lamau." Here's a weird note about this podcast. This clip was uploaded on Joe Rogan's Clips YouTube channel about like 1-ish early afternoon. Granted, they didn't upload the entire full episode on the Joe Rogan YouTube page in general till like 7 or 8 hours later. Doesn't really happen like that. It actually had some people speculating in the comment section. Some people said this: "Where's the full podcast? I only see this video on YouTube." Another one says, "Getting clips off the podcast before the full podcast comes out." Did YouTube intervene on this one? Or maybe it was a Spotify thing. I don't know. I really don't see this as much whenever I fish for freaking content from Joe Rogan. But I mean, this was out there for like 7+ hours and people were just like, where the hell's the full episode? Anyways, going back to God Mossad, he recently wrote and published this: "We must stop suicidal empathy from destroying the United States." And in doing so, this man stated this: "Suicidal empathy also yields California's irrational policies to address the homelessness crisis. Apparently, homeless people and habitual felons do not have any personal agency. Hence, to quote, punish them when they are the real victims of an unfair society is mean-spirited. To require the homeless to seek treatment in mental health facilities or addiction centers is unkind." He goes on to state here, less than 25 years later, New Yorkers elected Zohar Mamdani as their mayor, a man who had few, if any, substantive professional accomplishments, and who was deeply committed to promoting the Islamic and socialist ideals. Mamdani, via his, quote, radiant and inauthentic smile, will usher in a new era of empathetic income redistribution to fight against the ogreish and mean capitalists. So I think what he's trying to say here is that caring for your neighbor will lead to your inevitable downfall, or something like that. You see, I think it's my suicidal empathy that made me want to make this video. And these are the type of people that Joe Rogan is platforming on his podcast. Again, state propaganda show. This man is clearly a shill for the Zionists. Let's just be honest.
We went over there because we were told that they were very close to developing a nuclear weapon.
Let's suppose you go to see your physician and your physician says, hey, Joe, God forbid, it looks like your blood sugar is very high and I'm going to classify you as now, never mind pre-diabetic, I think you're diabetic. And if we don't manage your sugar levels, there will come a day where I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have to amputate your extremities. You're probably going to lose your eyesight. You're probably going to have sexual dysfunction, and you're probably going to have some cardiovascular incident. That doesn't happen on day 2 of you having been diagnosed with diabetes. Like, there's a trajectory, and at some point there'll be a tipping point where until then none of the diabetes complications happened. Now, why am I saying all this? Because I can't comment as to whether he's been lying all the times when he said there's 2 more years left, or 1 more year, or 6 more months. But surely we can grant the American government enough leeway to presume that if they thought that at this point it's the right time and it is now intolerable for them to go another day with the current reality, that they probably had some intelligence that suggests that they are close. So I can't comment whether Netanyahu was pulling our eyes, but surely it can't be that the Israelis are so manipulative in their puppeteering that they've pulled the wool over the American eyes, and really there's no danger that the Iranians were posing and we've convinced the Americans to go to war. Do you think that it is that?
Well, I wouldn't say there's no danger, right?
Joe was pushing back, but only to a certain degree. I think, again, he's only doing it just to seem, or just to come across like he's neutral, when in reality, this man's bought and paid for. We know this. As a matter of fact, God Saad, or Said, or whatever the hell, God Saad, this is the same man who literally cucks for Elon Musk, just like how Rogan does. God Saad recently said that Elon Musk deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Not even joking. Here's the receipt. It's insane. Also, both Elon and God Saad interact with each other on Twitter pretty often, so there's a connection there. But most importantly, Joe is Elon's gardener. The Joe Rogan Experience is a billionaire platform for the Epstein class, and God Saad's the tool for them. State propaganda show. Come on now, dude. Come on. I think right now, and halfway through 2026, Joe Rogan's own fan base is realizing this. You know, I think it was becoming more evident midway through last year when Joe Rogan started, defending or trying to deflect from the Epstein files with guests on his podcast like Mike Benz, amongst other previous U.S. State Department officials. Now it's just come to the point where this man literally is going to have a possible Mossad agent on his podcast, platform him, try to humanize him with little to no pushback. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Till next video, peace, y'all. Tomorrow's video is going to be a slopaganda. I think I got a good one for tomorrow regarding Slopanese. Yeah, we all speak Slopanese here, all right? We all love the slop. We love the slop, damn it. Peace, y'all.